Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that Toy Story 3 wasn't one of the best endings to a trilogy of all time, because it was. It was a fantastic end cap to the journey all the toys went on, and a great ending to Andy's arc. But, if we look at the trilogy as a whole, really, the trilogy is about Woody and him learning to deal with the fact that at some point he's no longer going to be needed. The purpose that he has built his life on, this idea of being there for Andy's needs, will eventually expire. So framing Toy Story 3 as an ending to Woody's emotional journey, then I don't think it's entirely satisfying, and why Toy Story 4 allows us to get closure on the extremely interesting character arc of Woody. The Toy Story films can be viewed through two entirely different lenses, and I think the way you interpret the film depends on the stage you're in of life, and of the choices you make in your own journey. In one way, the toys are children, with their human owners acting like their parents. Their identity and belonging is completely dependent on what their owners deem it to be. The toys are unable to function in the real world without their godlike owners helping them to. And because of this, the toys develop an unhealthy complex with their owners, particularly enforcing the idea of conditional love. In Toy Story, Woody is scared since he isn't the new toy that he will be abandoned. And in Toy Story 2, he's scared that if he's not perfect, he'll be left behind, which he eventually is. This idea that Woody has built in his head is that Andy will only love him if he's perfect, that there's been criteria placed on their relationship that if Woody doesn't meet it, then he'll no longer receive Andy's love. At the same time though, the toys are acting as parents for the children in the films, and this is the lens I want to dive deeper into, because essentially Toy Story to Toy Story 4 is the tale of a parent and how that parent deals with abandonment and finding a new purpose in life. From the start, the toys are aware that one day their time will come and they will be abandoned. They know that eventually their child will move on and they won't be needed anymore. Woody, over the course of 4 films, has to learn to deal with this fact and embrace the inevitability of his temporary use. But throughout the course of the films, he seems to want to delay the inevitable and defy the odds. Andy is Woody's child. He's watched him grow up in front of his eyes, and he has looked out for him throughout his childhood. It's a job that Woody takes extremely seriously, that if any threat arises that seeks to tear apart his main job in life, he seeks to get rid of it. Initially, this is Buzz, the threat of something new, someone more fun stripping away Andy from Woody's grasp. Then it's Woody's belief that Andy needs Woody to be perfect in order to be in his life, but ultimately the most dangerous threat to their relationship is a threat that Woody can't outrun: time. In Toy Story 3, we see Woody struggle to let go of the fact that Andy is moving on and essentially abandoning him as he transitions into his new phase in life. It's through the course of the film that Woody learns that his time has come with Andy, his purpose fulfilled. Despite Andy abandoning Woody and leaving him behind, they both make the realization that they can let go and still love, that abandonment and love are not mutually exclusive. They both still do have deep love for one another, even though their lives are not intersecting anymore. It's this moment that really continues and propels Woody's arc as a parent in a new direction. This moment evokes many situations felt by parents, seeing their child transition into a new phase of life, one where they need less support from them. Seeing the child journey off into a new direction all on their own and having to watch as it happens, looking on with love, but knowing life won't be the same again. After the emotions have calmed, this then begs the question, where does Woody go from here? His sole purpose, the thing he's defined his identity on, has now been stripped away from him. So who is Woody without Andy? So, we pick up in Toy Story 4 with a montage of Woody's journey with Andy that leads us straight into his new position as one of Bonnie's toys. Now it's clear that Woody isn't one of Bonnie's favourites like he was Andy's. He's left behind and often not played with, and simply watches the other toys being used. I mean, if you need even more overt imagery, he's literally stepped on at one point. Now in part, this is obvious because Bonnie has made the decision to leave Woody out. But at the end of Toy Story 3, we see all the other toys joyous and happy to have a new child, while Woody, despite having let go of Andy, hasn't really moved on from him. So it's not hard to imagine that he's distanced himself initially from this new group of toys, and this has resulted in him being left behind. So when the opportunity presents itself for Woody to make use of himself and help Bonnie, he jumps headfirst into it. This new purpose he finds is protecting Forky, the new toy Bonnie has made out of a spork. Woody doesn't want to deal with the crisis he's facing, this loss of identity and purpose, and instead puts all his effort into making sure Forky is there for Bonnie, because if he can, he'll at least make sure he plays a part in making sure another toy is there for her. However, this is just a case of procrastination in a way. Woody isn't dealing with the internal issue he faces and is instead opting to solve a completely different problem in the attempts to find a new purpose. The issue is Woody no longer has this parent-child dynamic that he did with Andy, something that gave him purpose despite being forced into it. Now with Bonnie, he's aimless and he's searching for some other avenue to give him purpose. This is why meeting Bo Peep again is such a revelation to Woody. He has an implicit realization throughout the film about his identity, that Woody sees himself through the lenses of others, never how he sees himself to be. I mean, he's literally had the names of children written on him. He was always someone else's and never truly himself. And this is an idea that's been held throughout all the Toy Story movies. He's viewed himself as being Andy's, and any choice he made had to be in the interest of him, because, well, he had no other choice. But the opening of this movie uses a flashback in a powerful way to challenge this notion. We get to see the moment Bo Peep runs away. She makes a choice to leave and to determine her own path for her life. In this moment she asks Woody to leave, but Woody hesitates and he declines as he can. The reality is Woody could have if he wanted to, but has chosen in that moment to stay with Andy as his purpose wasn't yet fulfilled. Cut back now to Woody's purpose being gone, and what's really going on is he's having an existential crisis. Upon the realization that Bo's been living as a lost toy the entire time, something which he deemed bad prior because it didn't align with his ideas of purpose and identity, this sends him deeper into this crisis as Woody slowly deals with the idea of embracing true autonomy and freedom. The genius of this film though is that none of this is ever really said, it just occurs naturally over the course of the film as Woody slowly finds his place in life, which is essentially rejecting the conventional ideas of purpose and embracing true freedom. Bringing this back to the parent analogy, their main job is now done, and having accepted that and being able to let go, they can then truly enjoy freedom now as their purpose is complete. You could also view Bo as Woody's wife, and having both finished their primary job, they're able to find love in each other again and celebrate life as a couple and not as parents with their children. It's why this ending gets me crying like a baby just as much as 3. The little nod Buzz makes to Woody mirrors Woody gazing back at Andy. It's the idea that even though they're going separate ways, Woody, much like Andy, is moving into a new phase of life. All Buzz can do is smile and nod and accept the fact that he's being left behind. Even though they're abandoning each other, the love is still there. It always will be, to infinity and beyond. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know if you agree with me that Toy Story 4 is still a great ending to the Toy Story franchise. And as always, let me know in the comments below what you found in frames.